Welcome. Thanks, Pete.
All right. So we're in mid-June, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Hold on one second here. Um, I have 22 years experience as a second career. I'm a subject matter expert for healthcare, benefits, and insurance, and also specific conditions, which one-on-one I'll be happy to talk to you about. I'm a trusted resource for job seekers, HR professionals, and benefits professionals. And I like to consider myself a change agent and a continuous learner. I don't mind telling you I'm 71 years old and I'm the baddest ass 71-year-old you'll ever meet today. There may be a few others, but God willing, intend to do this for a long time. I'm also very down to earth and old school. I learned this very early in my sales marketing career that the best thing you can do for your client and yourself is to adhere to the first ring rule. So if you call me or text me, if I am not on the phone, which during certain times of the year, and you can imagine what those are, I'm on the phone all day and all night. It may be between calls or between enrollments or appointments, but I will get back to you and answer your question and the best that I can. I ask you to take advantage of that because there are going to be a ton of changes, and by knowing that, you put yourself ahead of your competition.
Mm-hmm.
I was a CEO, went through a rather difficult divorce in after 9/11 and became a single parent, raised two kids, got them through high school and college without us killing each other, both boys. So you can imagine what that was like. But it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it allowed me to go on the path that I have set forth at an early age. And I'm very uh, proud of my sons. I'm very humble as far as an individual. I am able to devote all of my time to really serving others and serving God. I was fortunate enough to be raised in the Catholic faith and the Jesuit faith, and Saint Ignatius was the founder of that faith. If you Google the term "man of others," that's what that instills, and that is really what I have devoted myself is to not worry about, and I know Foster and Pete and other feel the same way, not worry about, you know, income or wealth accumulation, but put it out there and serve others. And it all
Mm-hmm.
works out. You don't know how, but God has a plan for you if you listen.
He
I'm
works it
also,
out. Yep.
I am, this is no cost advice, and recommendations. I'm licensed and able to talk benefits. I have large group companies, small group companies for benefits. I'm also heavily involved in the Medicare space and in the under 65 space. Not only uh, the federal exchange through healthcare.gov, but also in state-based exchanges like in Colorado or the Georgia Access Plan. So, I have a wealth of knowledge and experience. And I'm also a Social Security expert, life insurance, all blah, 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 benefits, but I don't want to focus on me. This is not an advertisement. Now,
Oh, let's
who
talk about
knows who
that guy.
this guy is? Since we're in the NBA Finals, could be decided tonight. Who doesn't know who this guy is? All right, this is the guy that put Nike on the map,
Pretty much.
right? Who's ever heard of the Jordan rule? All right, well, the Jordan rule is that you can sell more sneakers if you don't pee off the left or don't pee off the right. You got to stay right down the middle. And as HR professionals, no matter who you're talking to, you are leaders and you are future HR professionals in a company. So no matter, you got to stay focused and you got to stay neutral. And I am taking that approach. Um, I keep my personal preference. I really try to stay neutral, which is sometimes hard to do, but that's the way it is. Now, the Chinese curse, we live in interesting times. You have before COVID and after COVID. You have local, state, federal, and global upheaval. If you've seen the what's going on in the Middle East, or really just about anywhere, there's global upheaval, and also in the U.S. In the U.S. In the U.S., we're facing an aging population and declining birth rates. Nothing you haven't heard. More recently, we're dealing with tariffs, inflation, supply chain. It's really supply chain problems. It's really easy in times like this to sway yourself to one side or the other. I recommend you don't do this. But there's also something else, and because we're in the benefit space, here's a fact. Most of you probably heard of Milliman. Healthcare costs for Americans have tripled in 20 years. And this year, the healthcare cost for the average individual is going up almost 7%. May go up more than that next year. Okay. That's just the fact. So, keep that in mind as you're budgeting for the future, that you have to budget for another tripling in 20 years. And most of us hope to be around in the next 20 years. So budget accordingly. All right, NBA time. Here's another big trend. When I was growing up, this was the AI I followed. Allen Iverson, what a cat. He now plays 3-on-3 basketball at age 50. He's a cool guy. But AI, as we know it today, is going to have profound impacts on society and HR professionals and recruiters in particular. Who knows who Andy Jassy is? Ever heard of him? He is the CEO of Amazon. He came out yesterday and again today. They are cutting back employment and terminating people due to the ability of AI to do the jobs that they have hired thousands of people across the country at mid-level and above. All right. And that has profound impacts for recruiters, for HR professionals. There, in a couple of ways, there are going to be fewer jobs. There will be different skill sets. And this is stuff you're going to have to know as benefits professionals. In the benefits space, this is going to have profound impacts too, as carriers start, insurance companies, and even our doctors and hospitals start infusing AI into everything we do. It's going to have a profound effect and within the next few years. Now, change is neither good nor bad. Change is inevitable. But if you're out in front of it, change also drives opportunities. And that is the overall message today. You have profound opportunities if you get out in front of this, and especially over the next 6 months. There are changes that are made into law already, and I'm going to talk about those. There are proposed changes in the next 60 days. There is the program integrity rule, which is basically how the sausage is made in Washington, where the Senate is meeting now to mull over the big, beautiful bill, or how the OMB, Office of Management and Budget, will basically calculate what it is going to cost. And it's going to change a lot of areas in the benefit space. That's all happening in the next 60 days. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. I'm not going to talk at all about rumored changes for 2026, but I will be talking on them as they are put into law every couple of weeks for the remainder of this year. Why? Because as HR professionals and as job seekers, You need to know this stuff. You need to get out and think about what the implications are for your career path and your immediate job search. Here are changes that are made into law. Employers, it's tougher to, with I-9 E-Verify, family employment leave access for government workers. There are high-level professionals that may not be able to get work visas extended. All right. It may be harder. Like Foster was able to ring the bell at Verizon by sourcing people for Verizon from Canada. Well,
Yes.
Canadians, besides being ticked off that we won the hockey tournament last night in Florida, Canadians aren't too happy about what's going on right now. But the other thing from an HR and recruiting standpoint is there are some high level skills available or job searches right now that aren't being filled because the people that were filling those are reluctant to come to the US or maybe not able to stay in the US and have to work remotely, but the job is based in Dallas, Texas, or Roswell, Georgia, or other places. Huge changes. Be thinking about how this impacts your life. You know about DEI. Also, there are and if you have trouble hearing me, I will remind myself to move close to the microphone. There is tightening up of non-competes, tightening up, as I mentioned, of green card knowledge. Medicaid, which is a federally funded partnership with individual states, has returned to before COVID rules. During COVID rules, the qualification for Medicaid was relaxed, and it wasn't until last year that Medicaid started being people had to reapply for Medicaid, and with federal funding cuts for Medicaid to assist states, that has a big change, and that impacts probably more people than you would think, because that lower level assistant or employee that may have 2 or 3 kids that qualify for Medicaid, well, this can impact them. This is going to impact them. So be thinking about how this changes you as an HR professional. Now, Affordable Care Act plans or in other states, state-based exchanges for people under 65. This is already put into law. There's the open enrollment period for upcoming has been put into law that's being cut into half. So there will be no expansion. It's going to be 6 weeks. It's going to start November 1st and go through December 15th, and that's it. There's also tightening of special enrollment periods that actually has started. I can tell you as a benefits broker, there is now a ton of additional documentation required after enrolling in a plan through the Affordable Care Act plan. And it is going to require anybody seeking insurance to know this and to have these documents in place immediately, or even though you've enrolled, you may not get covered. First of all, the big one, big kahuna, federal income taxes must be paid prior to being able to enroll in 2026. That means no extensions. Maybe you, because of extended job search, you don't have enough income. You didn't file a tax return last year. You won't be able to enroll. Reconciliation of last year's premium tax credit, which is done through IRS Form 1095A. If you don't reconcile that, or if you haven't reconciled it for last year, this year, you won't be able to renew your plan that you're on this year. All right. So, it's tightening up. There's also deep cuts in advertising and navigator funding. And what this is going to cause, it is already, I can already tell, longer lines, longer wait times in the hold, more stress, more misunderstanding, and more fake news all about all this from both sides. All right. So be prepared, be out in front of this, be able, when you're having conversations with other job seekers or networking groups, let them know that this is happening, because it is here now, and it's going to, if you or the people you know in your network or with candidates aren't aware of this stuff, it is going to make their October, November, and December hell. So be prepared. Now, I'm a pretty level-headed guy, right? I'm a fun guy. I think I'm a fun guy. You may think I'm boring as heck, but I can tell you that this is serious stuff. And you need to address this as serious stuff and keep your political opinions and your social media stuff in check right now, because you have an opportunity to be a leader and be out in front of this. In the Medicare space, I'm deeply involved in the Medicare space, and there are more changes coming in Medicare that are not made into law. But the aspect for making these changes, or the justification, will be to tighten up fraud, waste, and abuse. Not only health plans, who are, they're big offenders, all right? United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, blah, blah, blah. They've all made a ton of money on the Affordable Care Act plan. But it's being tightened up, and as has Medicare, especially Medicare Advantage plans. There's going to be more audits. I'm subject to much tighter compliance and audits. Not that that matters to you, but as an HR professional, it's going to impact you, because employers are going to be audited also. Here's what's coming in the next 60 days. And I'm going to just touch on these, but just know these are not put into law. The sausage grinding right now, the program integrity rule. During the Biden administration, the premium tax credits that reduce the cost of insurance through state-based or the federal healthcare.gov exchanges extended premium tax credits beyond the original law. Those were put into law during the previous congressional and presidential administration. They're expiring at the end of this year. So chances are anybody that has had a lower cost plan through either a state-based or federal exchange is going to pay more next year. Is, relatively speaking, knowing healthcare and the 6.7% increase in what it costs for an individual, some people, many people, it's what you get used to paying in your budget. All right. You need to be budgeting for more money if you are eligible for premium tax credit. There, I mentioned the DMIs, or the tightening of income eligibility checks. Get those forms available. I'll be talking about that next. This is all, specifics. This is what's being ground up in the sausage right now. 150% of the federal poverty limit is a special enrollment period that was enacted as an administrative presidential decree during the previous administration. That ends this year, so people can who are between jobs, whose income estimate for 2025 is less than 150% of the federal poverty limit, can enroll in a plan anytime during the year. That goes away next year if this goes into law. Also, if you are on, and many people that select a bronze plan, and you remember the ads from healthcare.gov and the state exchanges, you can get a plan for $10 or $0. Well, that is going away. There will be a minimum premium for all plans next year if this goes into law. And also, no more 60-day extensions of having 60 days to get your documentation once you've, let's say you qualify for a special enrollment period. Or it's called a data matching issue. Let's say you haven't paid your taxes, or you haven't reconciled your 1095As and 8962s with your federal income taxes, or you haven't paid your taxes or extended. You're not going to have 60 days to get that done. You're going to have 30 days to get it done. So these are all under review right now. They're going to make life difficult, and trying to explain this to somebody who walks into your office as an HR professional. Try to explain this to them, and it's going to be hard. So encourage, or you, or your friends, or your colleagues, or your fellow networkers. You need to be prepared for this in advance. Why? If you're a job seeker, because it will take your focus, it'll take your eye off the ball, whether it's a basketball or golf ball or whatever. You need to know this stuff now and get prepared so that things go smoothly. The worst thing you could do is just let it happen. Then you're in the mass of people, maybe you're waiting on phone for hours, like in the first year of healthcare.gov, or you just don't know, you lose the opportunity to get coverage. So, this is stuff you can be doing now, and I encourage you to do so. So resist the temptation to speak or to speculate, or to take social media or opinion pieces as facts. What is news these days that is not slanted one way or another? Don't add to unnecessary stress on yourself and your families or to others' job search. Stay focused on what you can control. I encourage you to lead through restraint. Your time, energy, and talents are best served by focus and what is known to be true and how it impacts employers, HR professionals, and your job search. Don't waste time, trying to get all stressed out about this. These are the things that I just explained you can't control. We're going to be doing follow-ups on this. This is the first of at least bi-weekly webinars through 2025 to keep everybody in the know. All webinars will be uploaded to YouTube. So, I don't expect you to subscribe, but you can, and stay current. And by the end of this month, I'll be publishing a newsletter that you can opt in and opt out, or pass along your jobs, your networking groups. Like I said, I'm licensed and certified in over half of about 2/3 of the population of the country. So I can probably help people in some of these other areas, as well as Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm going to focus on the changes in regulations and impacts, how it can impact your job search, your health insurance, your health care, and also retirement. Okay? There are a lot of changes that are, you read news, and I subscribe and curate tons. In fact, this morning I curated a couple of webinars on this very subject. So, I can speak from authority because I know this stuff. This is what I do. Okay, I want to be able to serve with and to help people, and to be a man of others in the community. I want to dispel rumors and give you action steps that you can take. Don't be misled or mislead. More importantly, and stay ahead of change, because there are tons of changes about to happen. So that's my story for today, and it will be updated on a regular basis. And as soon as I get the opt-in and everything together, I'm going to let you know the stuff. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if there is anybody in LinkedIn for, I'm one of the top people in or in Texas, I think, for LinkedIn. But that doesn't mean a whole lot, because I get probably about a dozen people every day that are sending, robotic stuff. Hey, would you like to get some SEO? Or hey, would you like to have a website built? If
Oh
there's
yeah.
somebody I have an actual personal relationship, and there's for a targeted company you have targeted, feel free to reach out to me. You know how to reach me. I believe in the first ring rule, and I will answer all calls and texts. Emails take a little bit longer, even this time of year. Emails are like Foster. I was emailing him last night at this morning. I think 1:30 a.m. because I was
And I was
trying.
sitting right there on the computer to respond.
Yeah, you're a man of others
That's my
too.
world.
So, it's like the best way to reach me, and I will tell you, I'll be happy to share my experience. I won't speculate, but I will give you action
Only
steps
one.
on these things. And thank you. I appreciate your time, and that's the end of my story. And
Awesome.
I'll answer questions.